Good Sunday afternoon, Big Brother fans. It is Sunday afternoon, about 12:40 p.m. Big Brother time. And so we've had a lot going on since Friday night when I last spoke to you. Try to get it all summarized because we may have more to talk about come Monday morning. So I'm out doing an errand. Perfect time for me to fire up my recording setup and let you guys know what's going on. As we know, or as I said in my last of my 4 podcasts on Friday, which I just listened to briefly, and I was saying a whole lot. Apologies, but I was trying to gather my thoughts. So Friday night, we knew that Riley had won the power veto, never mind that, and it didn't happen. Riley had won head of household. Mickey had used her power to take over his power, and so Mickey was the new head of household. Riley had been fairly upset after Mickey won the power and was on a bit of an apology tour. Mickey made her nominations, and she indeed nominated Keanu, Riley, and Kelly. So Keanu, Riley, and Kelly are the 3 that are on the block currently, Friday night when I last talked to you. Saturday was the power veto competition. Power veto players were drawn. The 2 extra power veto players were Morgan and Rachel. They were the 2 extra. And there was lots of scurrying going on, lots of stuff, but it doesn't really matter because it all depends on who wins the power veto, right? Feeds went down for, it didn't seem like they went down for that long, but they went down for at least an hour or two. When they came back, we discovered that Keanu had once again won the power of veto. So Keanu will, of course, be taking himself off the block. That means Mickey's going to have to make a nomination. Now, going into nominations, Mickey seemed to be bouncing between nominating Kelly and nominating Catherine as her 3rd nominee. So it would be assumed that if one of them comes off, anybody comes off, then she would use Catherine as the renom, right? Well, hang on. And of course, understand everything I'm telling you. The power veto meeting is not until tomorrow. So there's a lot to go on yet. There's a lot of talking to go on today and tonight and tomorrow. And so no matter what I tell you, it's very likely to have to change a little bit. The talk, a lot of the talk yesterday was, well, when the feeds came back from the power veto competition, it turned out that we couldn't quite sort it out for a second. I put a video up on Blue Sky, but we saw Keanu talking to Jimmy in the storage room, but Keanu didn't seem really, really happy. But he also didn't seem super, super upset. But it turns out that he had yelled at Ava, who was hosting, and we don't know why. I don't know the details, or I shouldn't say we don't know why. I don't know why. If it's been discussed and talked about, I'm not sure. We'll see it on Wednesday, probably. So Keanu won, but he yelled at Ava. Riley was apparently very close. Morgan, if she's to be believed, was also very close. The competition was like one. It sounds like it was like one they did last year, where you had to match tie. Like it reminded me of the. I think at the time we all talked about it. It was kind of like the bridge from Squid Games. It's a game where you have to, to get all the way across, you have to step on the right tile. If you step on the wrong tile, if you follow the pattern incorrectly, you have to start over. Or in Squid Games, you fall through and you're dead. But that's how Squid Games worked. In this version, I think it was just between 2. I think it was like right, left, 1, 2, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. You just had to know the pattern. And from how I understand it, Riley was very quick, but he kept messing up the very last one. And Keanu eventually got it. Morgan also claimed to be very quick. So it's possible it was more than just choosing between two, but there was the number 14 was thrown out, like there was a total of 14 levels you had to get through. They also talked about how the other house guests could see it from a different angle than the ones that were playing it, so they had a better idea of what was going on. Whatever. Point is, Keanu won it. And so he's obviously going to save himself. And then it becomes the question of who is Morgan going to renominate? Now, again, we thought, you have to understand there's the dynamics from the viewers, from the fans, from the TV fans, from the online fans, and from even across different social media sites. Facebook fans like a different set of people necessarily than Twitter fans, than Blue Sky fans. It's kind of interesting, the dynamics, and there really are differences in fan bases on who they like. The fan base really wants Riley out, right? They don't like what we've talked about before, this whole deadbeat dad idea, which I already talked about, and I'm not saying he is. We just don't know the details at this point. A lot of it was based off of one Facebook post, and the person who made it has since locked their account and stuff. So we don't know the detail. And as again was pointed out, if he really was a deadbeat dad, first of all, CBS probably would have found out, and secondly, TMZ would have loved to pick that up and run with it. So it's just hard to say for sure what it is, but no matter what, the online community, mostly as a whole, is not a fan of Riley. So to hear that Mickey is contemplating not putting up Riley, or not getting Riley voted out, or not putting up Catherine, which is what she's not necessarily contemplating right now, as the backup nom when Keanu comes down, has the online community very concerned. But they had a very long talk, Mickey specifically, and I keep mixing Mickey and Morgan, and part of that's because the two of them have been spending a lot of time together, right? Talking. And because I mess up names all the time. So Mickey and Morgan had a very long one-on-one conversation with Keanu. And in that conversation with Keanu yesterday, they talked about how Jimmy, haven't heard me talk about Jimmy except for after the competition, right? How Jimmy is the one that has been feeding them all kinds of negative info on Keanu. Like, well, Keanu's saying this about you. Keanu's doing this about you. And yet Keanu sees Jimmy as kind of an ally. So it seemed like in this meeting between the three of them, they were starting to go like, you know what? Maybe it's Jimmy that's trying to keep us on opposite sides and playing against each other. And maybe it's Jimmy who we should not be trusting instead of not trusting each other. Now, I'm paraphrasing. I'm trying to summarize up, what was discussed. But the point is, it seemed very much like the three of them were coming to an agreement. But the problem is with any of these things is that's that conversation. The second Keanu leaves, unless they say, wow, we're going to do this, you can't say with certainty that they really were serious or not. It could be just like, well, we thought about it, but yeah, we still have to get rid of Keanu, okay? Or we can't work with Keanu. Obviously, Keanu's going to be safe. Or we can't go against Jimmy, right? And that's part of it is they're still like, I don't know, man. Part of me wants to go make a move on Jimmy, but I'm not sure. And what about Vinny? Vinny's Vinny this too. And so Mickey is all over the place, it seems, on who she might renom, whether she wants to do the big move. Now, Rachel does not want Jimmy to go up, and I don't know if they've had a long one-on-one conversation or if Mickey's had a long one-on-one conversation with Rachel since the power veto. So there's some meetings that are going to happen today that may shape this a little bit more, and it may come down to the last person to talk to, Mickey may have that influence. We're just not sure. Point is, it's still very much up in the air. I watched this morning as Mickey had a conversation with Catherine. I watched last night when Mickey had a conversation with Riley and hugged Riley, and she's talked with Kelly a little bit. She told Kelly before the thing, you're not my target, I don't want you to go. I just need the strong players up there to do stuff. She gave Riley such the pep talk before she nominated him, like, if I put you up, it's because I want you to take out, you got to beat Keanu. And it was very close, but he didn't. but she's still like, I don't want to lose you, Riley. I don't want to lose you. And she seems to not want to lose Riley in some ways. But Riley was going to put up Mickey and Morgan. I have no doubt that he would have nominated Mickey and Morgan if he had been up there. But he seems to have had a bit of a come to Jesus moment in some ways, and he talks like he wouldn't. But I don't know. I'm just not sure. So things are all over the place. It's here we are. It's Sunday, and I'm talking about Power Veto meeting, but we haven't seen the head of household stuff yet, which is going to be on tonight's episode. This is Sunday, so there's a Sunday night episode. So I'll probably talk to you guys tomorrow to summarize what's happened tonight and how things look before the Power Veto meeting, and also talk about Sunday's show and how it is and everything. I can't say for certain how fun Sunday show is going to be, but of course we're going to see the the head of household competition, and then we'll also see Morgan take over. There we go again. Mickey take over Riley's power and then renom, right? Or nominate. I don't know if we'll ever see Riley make his nominations. It'll be interesting to see how much they show of Riley contemplating his nominations, because he was saying, I'm putting up Morgan and Mickey and Ashley. That was who he was going to put up. So will Big Brother let us see that? Because that will give a different context to the TV viewers. If they don't let us see that that's what Riley was going to do, the TV viewers may have a different view of Riley, right? They may not think the same way about Riley because, well, poor Riley, he wasn't going to do anything. No, he was going to nominate Mickey and Morgan and Ashley. And instead, he ended up on the block with Keanu and Kelly. They've got a lot to shove in tonight's 1 hour show. We'll see how they do it. So with that, again, it's a Sunday podcast. We'll do another one tomorrow and get you guys up to date on what has changed since now, because it will be very active today. It's already been fairly active this morning, and we should have a lot more to talk about tomorrow. Okay, thank you for your support. Thank you again to my patrons. I appreciate you. And, I got a new one yesterday or day before. And so I got to give you a shout out next week. Or when I mean next week, I mean tomorrow. So I'll give all of my patrons a shout out next week, including my new ones, because I've gotten a few new ones so far. If you would like to be a patron and support me that way, patreon.com/BBGOSSIP. And my source of, quote, income, this isn't a moneymaker for me, mind you, because I'm paying for my hosting for my Spreaker. I'm paying for websites, which I need to try to use a little bit more, but I'm paying for domain names, and I pay for the feeds myself too, right? So anyways, all those things combined, I'm not really making money. I did use the little extra money I had. Well, first of all, the argument is I use it to treat my wife to dinner. So there's that, so she doesn't hate me watching Big Brother as much. But also, I used it this year to help offset some of my costs when I went to New York to see the premiere and stuff. So anyways, I'm not walking out of this making money. I'm breaking even or reinvesting the costs to give you guys content and let you know what's going on. And with that, I'm going to shut up now and sign off and wish you a happy rest of your Sunday while I drive to Menards to save big money. And only if you live in the Menards world where they have coverage would you get that reference. But yeah, I gotta go work on my outdoor stuff. That's what I've been doing today, is outdoors painting our shed that houses our lawnmower and stuff. And then also we have an old playhouse that none of my kids have played in for 15 years or more. But rather than tear it down, I'm trying to clean it up a little bit for whoever happens to inherit it next whenever we decide to move on. So I'm getting to Menards to get certain things so I can get that done. All right, more info than you probably even care about. But have a happy Sunday, and be well. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.